Hey, real estate rock stars, welcome to the Whole Enchilada of Real Estate Investing, the only podcast that serves up the full feast of street smart strategies to build wealth and take control of your financial future. I'm Lou Brown, and I've been in the real estate game since 1976, so I've learned how to make the whole plate worth it. Each week, I'll be dishing out creative financing hacks and proven systems that help investors build multi-million-dollar businesses. No fluff, just the good stuff, straight from the source. Ready to dig in and start making deals? Let's get to it. We have an amazing treat. All of our platinum masterminds are here with us. Welcome to the Whole Enchilada of Real Estate Investing. And I am so pleased and proud and excited to introduce you to someone that I think all of you have not met before. And it's so wonderful to have an experience with someone who has been there, done that, been around the block, down the block, around the corner, and done some amazing things. Right here from Charleston, South Carolina, none other than Mr. Patrick Riddle. Yeah, baby. So Patrick is, I'm going to let him tell you his story and just give them who you are, where you're from, a little bit about your family, your background, and how we met each other and all that good stuff. Take it away, Patrick.
Gotcha. I'm from Lexington, South Carolina. I hear that you guys may have met or heard from Dusty.
Yesterday, yeah.
Dusty lived about a mile down the road from me. And so we go back all the way actually to middle school. And it was during college back in 2002, one summer actually here in Charleston, where Dusty and I and another friend were living here over the summer. And we were always just thinking of how could we make a little extra money. And so one thing led to the next, and we stumbled our way into meeting this guy. Way back in 2002, how about that? So at first it was I think it was a free event. There was a lot of other kind of experts there, but Lou on stage was just answering every question, and Dusty and myself and a friend were like, that's the guy that we want to learn from. And Lou's pretty good at what he does, and so we found ourselves there just a couple months later, November 2002, in a 5-day boot camp. And I was, 22 years old at the time. And I remember day one, by lunch, mind blown. Like fire hose. He was just fire hosing us with all the good stuff. And we were just on fire from there. We made the decision, my friends and I at the time, to quit school after that semester, to the chagrin of our parents. I remember I waited till after Christmas to tell them because I didn't want to ruin Christmas. And
So what year in college were you at that time?
It would have taken me 5 years, but that was 3.5 years in.
3.5 years in.
Studying civil engineering, didn't really know what I wanted to do. But December 28th was my deadline. That was a good lesson. Set deadlines, get things done. Let the parents down, move to Charleston.
Let parents down, get in car, leave.
Yes, very quickly. And I remember just sitting on my parents' couch over that Christmas break reading. I never read much before discovering Lou and real estate, but then just tore into everything I could get my hands on, personal development, professional development. And I'm reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad on the couch in there, and I'm just grinning ear to ear, little do they know. But yeah, we dove in head first in 2003 and really just never looked back. I've been self-employed since then. I've had a different path over the last years than Dusty, but still real estate related, and it's been quite a ride. Me and Dusty did a lot of deals in the 2000s together, and then I started venturing into, I've always loved teaching and sharing just what I've learned in the business. And so I started creating some courses around what I was best at in the business, which was recruiting private money. And then over the years, that business has now become really a publishing company today where we have a lot of just experts that teach educational courses, real estate related and other financial opportunities. We're starting to roll out like a stock options offer and a crypto offer and all education online and even some software there now.
Yeah,
So
it's quite fascinating.
It's been a journey, but I want you guys to know that a lot of success is being in the right rooms and being around the right people, and this is the kind of guy. It looks like, I don't know you guys, but it looks like this is the right kind of room that you want to be on. Pat yourself on the back for being here, because that's big. You invested the money, you set aside the time, and now you're here. It's time to take what you can from here, go back home and implement. Get something out of it.
Fantastic. So tell them about your family. When did you get married and the rest of the story?
Yes, I met my wife in 2011. I say like this by referral, but I had heard. Oh, it was quite a feat. But I first heard about her through mutual friends, and they owned an art gallery downtown, and they said you should come. She always comes to our art shows each month, and so I go. And then she's a no-show. I guess she babysat for someone that night, turns out. And so we missed connecting there, but then like a week and a half later, I have a little dinner party at my house, and a group shows up, and a woman that I didn't know named Carrie. And through different friends, about halfway through the night, I connected, oh my God, that's the Carrie
That's her.
that Megan told me about. And shortly thereafter, we were pretty all in. So we got married in 2015. I had our daughter, Aubrey, in 2018, and we're happily family of 3.
Yeah, baby. That's a beautiful thing. Congratulations on that.
And we live locally here. We live on Isle of Palms, and it was really neat. Like I haven't been back to one of your events in many years, but it's an honor to come and actually just be on the other side.
It's an honor to have you here. It really is. You guys don't know him, but I do. And it's just amazing what you and JP have created and what you've been able to do. It's just blows me away. And one of the things that when you got into the real estate, you were doing so many deals, you yourself and with Dusty, and you were buying anything. It's like Monopoly, right? Everything you land on, you want to buy. You know?
You're in acquisition mode for sure.
In acquisition mode and making things happen in your world. And then you got a feel, and as you were feeling, okay, one of the biggest stops in this business is private money, and you became an expert at private money, you became an expert at raising private money and teaching others how to do private money. Give us some of your private money lessons.
Gotcha. Wow, it's been a while. But yeah, with Dusty, we divided up roles in the business. Dusty's like a master negotiator. You never want to end up on the other side of the table. Glad he was on my team. But the financial side of the business is just something that I took on. I was in marketing and finance. And Lou taught us how to have all kinds of tools in the toolbox for when you come across a deal, how to look at it through different lenses to see how you might be able to turn it into a deal. Because the same 2 people might look at an opportunity, one sees nothing, and one sees the opportunity and is able to capitalize on it because they've got a bag of tricks. They've got a few different ways to structure things. And so whenever we learned a lot of seller financing and subject to from Lou and all the owner financing, Dusty was really good at getting sellers to take back notes at 0%.
0%, baby.
Full
It's a beautiful thing.
which is awesome. But we quickly found that with a lot of our creative deals that we were putting together, they still required some amount of cash many times. And we had a couple hard money resources that we could bring in, but that was more for your fix and flip opportunities. And so started really mining our network at the time for private money. And started out, because a lot of deals that we were doing, we might want to bring in 15 to 30 to 50K in cash to do the deal after we've got it worked out. And just starting out, like I studied a lot of sales and psychology, and you can study all day long though until you actually get out there and take action and do something. That's when the real learning happens and the rubber meets the road. But I've always been one to not want to reinvent things myself. And back in the 2000s, there was a guy named Alan Cowgill, if you remember Alan.
He was one of my students.
There you go. Doesn't surprise me at all. Alan had a private money little course and presentation, and that's where I started. I looked for someone who already had the template, who had the knowledge, and I came in and just started implementing his system. And that was actually his system was all about like getting a room at a hotel, inviting people in for a luncheon, and having a presentation in a group format. And although I did that some and had some results, I really liked belly to belly,
Amen.
One-on-one, and really being able to go in and diagnose the potential lender and then be able to prescribe them the right opportunity that we have.
Exactly.
And that proved to be a lot more effective way of getting
See,
capital.
that's great advice, because that's exactly what I teach is that you do it one-on-one, find these people that are in your phone, and all you have to say is a few words to them. They have a need, and you can fill that need. So that's so powerful that you took the thing, you took action, you were able to raise the money, and then you were teaching others how to do it. And one thing led to another with you, my friend, because you said, you know, what I really love is marketing. What I really love is marketing. What I really love is being able to present something in a certain way, create the curiosity, get people to respond, and cause things to happen. So tell us about your evolution into the marketing world.
Yeah, I was fascinated in the real estate investing business, I was our marketing guy. But then as the internet's taking shape in the mid-2000s, I'm fascinated with just making money online. And for a while, we were just so focused on just the real estate and trying to say no to all the other shiny objects, which is important at times, but then eventually found the opportunity, the right time for me to start building an education business. And at first, my strategy was, I'm just gonna put out a lot of good content, and I'm gonna get better and better at writing it, shooting videos, that kind of thing, and just put it all out there. And I figured if I put enough good content out there, something good is bound to happen. So after I had a blog that I was posting to regularly, and I started shooting videos and putting out content and just started collecting a small list of subscribers to my blog, very slowly just started creating some courses. Private money was just something that I really dove into over the years. And even though I started out using Alan Cowgill's system, eventually developed my own system, processes, and whatnot. Just went through, but you had mentioned, like, how did I really get into the marketing side of things? After being the face and expert behind my education business for several years, I really had become a little less active on the real estate side of things and just didn't want to be the face or expert behind our trainings anymore. And so I found a guy out there, was one of the best content producers out there, which was a guy named JP Moses. And when I hired JP and brought him into the company, him taking over that side of the company, content and creating courses and whatnot, that opened up time for me to really dive into the marketing side of things. And I went all in. Like, when I start to study something, that's all I consume it was probably 3 or 4 years, where every marketing, online sales funnel, copywriting resource or book that I could get my hands on, I did.
Yes.
And really, in the 2000 teens, my company dabbled in different things. We had a live event, and we did do a mastermind once, and then we dabbled in creating some software, and we did all this different stuff.
Patchwork quilting.
A lot of it meet results-wise, even though the content was awesome. In 2019, we really looked back at all the things we had done in the business. And there was one particular thing with the way we created some courses and how we sold them that we said, you know what? Those projects went really well. And looking back, that's the best thing that we had done over the years. So then we went all in on our kind of course creation model, working with other experts in the industry, and our business just took off.
Just took off, yeah.
Yeah, we were doing pretty good through the 2000 teens, but from 2019 through today, we've grown very substantially.
Yes, you have.
We've got a team of 60 people now, and we really hit another big growth spurt last summer through the beginning of this year, and we're trying to keep up.
Sometimes you're willing to share, like, what you've done over the last year, if you want to share that.
Yeah, last year we did 23 million in revenue.
Yeah, but
And we came into the beginning of this year doing over 3 million a month.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So isn't that a great thing? Give my hand. So give us some tips of best marketing, best kept marketing secrets, things that we can do in our real estate business to cause our real estate business to occur, getting leads that nobody else knows about, and being able to apply those to be able to purchase the properties, buy them cheap, all the good things we do in our world.
On the marketing side of things, one thing that I had never studied or really looked into back in my real estate days was copywriting. And copywriting is just the act of being able to write effective text for your campaigns, for your mailers, for whatever kind of advertising that you're doing. And that would be a simple thing to start to look into to be able to have more effective marketing. Like one of the things that we do that helps big time and with our online business is split testing with our marketing, which you can take to your real estate marketing. If you're doing mailing pieces, not just sending out 5,000 of the same mailing piece, but coming up with 2 different versions of your copy for your marketing pieces and really getting good at tracking and testing.
So this is the A-B split testing so that you can put 2 things out saying the same thing and see which responds best. And then when it responds best, then you put another one in there. And then you see if that one responds better than this one, and you keep going. It's a never-ending experience.
One of the simple things that you taught way back in the day was just always to have a handful of spokes in your lead generation wheel. You didn't say it like that. You want to have a handful of ways that you're constantly driving potential opportunities and deals.
How many of you remember that from Millionaire Jumpstart, coming up with all the different ways that you can market and find sellers, and then choosing 5, right? Choosing 5 incoming lead generators and 5 outbound lead generators, and focus on the 5, and any one that doesn't work, you get rid of that, you put another one in, but you always got at least 5 things working for you. That's what Patrick's mentioning.
And in the past, I've always been a fan of direct mail, and there's one particular list that I really used to like tapping into back in the day, which was the list of quitclaim deeds. At the time, I could go to my county courthouse and get a list of every property that had a sales price on record for like less than $100. And those kind of opportunities, that's oftentimes your inheritance situations, your divorce situations, and depending on your area, that's not always a huge list of recent last 3-6 months of those kind of leads, but I've always found that many times they have equity, a lot of times they have that motivation, because in inheritance situations, sometimes you got somebody, they don't live in the area, they don't know what to do with the property, they're getting taken advantage by a professional tenant, one of those alien creatures that she used to speak of.
So you remember a lot.
It's in there. It's in there somewhere.
Oh, that's great. That is a really great tip. And one of those things that when we're finding deals that nobody else knows about, not in competition with everyone else, that's one of the things that we teach in Street Smart is be stealth, finding those hidden deals. So you really don't need a big list, do you?
No, you just need an effective, a good list to hit that every other investor out there is not hitting.
Exactly right. So always be thinking about your competition. Really, there is no competition. Everybody likes to argue that there's competition, and I just laugh out loud because I say, no, you just need to go get better at finding leads. That's all you need to do.
And people's motivation changes every day.
Exactly right.
So if you can be that person that shows up at the right time.
The market changes every day too, right? So when the market changes up on you, what do?
You quickly realize it as quick as possible so that you can shift. It's always going to be changing and staying. Like being in groups like this is a way to stay on top of the pulse of what's going on. You know, sometimes you talk to someone else in another part of the country where they're experiencing something maybe before your local market does.
Yeah, a very good point there. Sharing the experiences that you're having, what's working, what's not working, and then you think to yourself, oh my gosh, if that's working over there, that might work where I'm at. Definitely, that's a great share there as well. So as people are considering the game of real estate, what would you say to them as their, hey, is this a good thing to do? Is this a great decision to make? Or is this maybe there's some things to consider before you make that decision?
Sure. I think anyone that's looking for good long-term investments or transactional potential, it's all about educating yourself and knowing your strategy going in so that you put yourself in the best position possible based on whatever happens with the property.
But I'm saying that someone who's just, maybe they want to leave their job, maybe they don't love what they're doing right now, and they're looking at real estate and they're trying to make a decision, is this a good move for me or not?
I think the best thing to do is to get your feet wet, probably before diving in necessarily like we did back in college.
In other words, you might not want to quit college just now.
Everybody has their own journey, but I think if you can start, you want to educate yourself as much as possible, but until you're taking action out there in the field, until you're talking to sellers, until you're going to look at properties, until you're making offers, that's when you're really your learning curve is gonna spike, and you can see if it's something that you see potential in and see yourself succeeding in. Like to me, real estate investing, business, it's a team sport. And look at it as everything's competition, but I like looking through a cooperation lens.
Nice.
Dusty and I, back in the day, made far more money cooperatively working with dozens of investors in the local community. And I'm always looking at what you can add to the table that maybe somebody else doesn't have in their business.
Yeah, and that's really a great piece of advice there. So if you don't know what you're doing, getting somebody on the team that has a clue, right, that can do something, and you can combine with them. So sometimes the best idea for somebody getting started in the business is to do partnerships, is to do things where they're bringing something to the table and the other party is bringing something to the table, and you can do a joint venture, right? So when you do a joint venture, maybe someone else is bringing money to the table, maybe someone else is bringing the deal to the table, you do a joint venture together, and now you're learning the whole way through. Yeah.
And for people who are just getting started too, just finding a successful real estate investing business in your area that's doing the kind of deals that you want to learn, it can be a great opportunity just to see if you can go work for them even for free. I remember one of the guys that reached out to me early on in his career, a guy named Tim Brock, that's become a big apartment building investor. His first ever Facebook message to me was, "I will shovel for you if you just teach me the business. Just let me follow you around. I'll do whatever I can to help you in your business." And I was like, that's the kind of attitude that shows that he was going to be a success. It's being able to put the work in and not needing necessarily an immediate return, being able to go learn the business some and then dive in yourself.
So you guys are amazing, and you've been able to accomplish a ton of things. What would you say is like a defining thing that you say that's your go-to every time you think about, because in this business, in any business, there can be struggles, there can be challenges, there can be issues that come up, and some days you just get up and you just want to go, you know what, I quit, uncle, I don't want to do this anymore. And so when you go back to that spot, when you have challenges, what is that for you? What would you say that's a driving force for you?
What just came to mind is, especially back in the day, I can remember me and Dusty going off course a little bit. We're like, we got to get back to the basics. And then we go back to the enchilada. And are just going back to the simple principles and basics that you outlined and not get caught up in all the
shiny new things, right? The shiny new things do come along and you go, ooh, look at that. And that'll take you off 6 months and you're going down that journey. And then you just come back to the basics. That's great advice. You just come back to the basics and you say, wait a minute, let me get centered, let me get focused. That's what we do at the Millionaire Jumpstart. I even invite everybody. They've had we've got so many millionaires in this room. Almost everybody in here is a millionaire or multi-millionaire with the businesses that they've created. Many of them have been with me for many years in the Platinum Mastermind. And it's just been fun, the journey of seeing where people come from to where they go to. And still, I say to them, come to the Millionaire Jumpstart. You know, because you come back to the 3-day and you go, aha, I missed that before, or I needed that reminder just now. And then you're back into the groove, you're back into causing things to happen. So that was great advice.
Yeah.
Now, for people like these people, millionaires and multimillionaires, they have grown to a certain place in their life. They've grown to wonderful income because we're the buy and hold guys, and we believe in the strategy of the long-term hold, the path to home ownership, not being landlords, but actually giving people an opportunity to someday have home ownership. And so many of these people have wonderful cash flows every month, and they're in a different place than somebody that's just getting started. What would be your advice to people that are in that position?
A lot of times, once people start having success, they veer off from what made them successful. And whatever's working for you, if it's working well, double down on it.
Double down, I love that. Yeah, keep doing it, right? Don't give it up, don't give it away, but actually get with it and stick with it. That's one of my favorite things, get with it and stick with it.
There you go.
So I love that. And here we are in the experience that you have had with making the decision that you made. You're in your 3.5 years into college and saying, man, I'm not going to do this anymore. It's not resonating, right? This is one of the things I say is, does it resonate, right? If somebody's just looking at this industry, at this business, and they're saying, hey, I don't know if I want to do this or not, that's one of the things I say is, does it resonate? Do you get a feel? Do you get a draw towards it? Does it attract you? And one of the things that when people feel that resonance, it's that power of making that decision, that commitment to do what they do. So as you were going back to that beginning spot, and you had a feeling, was that?
Yeah, as you're describing that, I remember one of our buddies, Jonathan, had met someone who was in his late 20s, owned some rental properties. The guy was telling him some of the benefits of rental properties. And that random conversation is what sparked the initial interest. We ended up going to Barnes & Noble, somewhere where we never went before. And we bought 2 books. One of them was Making Big Money Without Rehabs, Tenants, and Banks, a Peter Conti, David Finkel book. That was basically on lease options.
Yeah,
and then there was one other book that was just some title about how to make $1 million in 3 years. Yeah. And we take those books home, and again, like the only books I'd ever read were like Cliff Notes. Trying to learn enough to just pass a test for school. But peel back the page to the book and start reading, and I got the feeling, like it spoke to me. It's because for a while, for whatever reason, we had the mindset of there's got to be some other ways to make money and do this whole thing in life other than get a job and follow our footsteps of our parents. And so it was when reading those first books, the light shone down, and it was like real estate. We end up at the conference just getting amazed by you and all your knowledge. And the Rich Dad Poor Dad book, it had the E, the S, the B, and the I. Entrepreneur. The quadrant. Yeah. Employee, self-employed, business, and investor. And so we're sitting here, we're in the best of both worlds. we're in the B and the I quadrant. And so that was it. We were all in.
That's perfect. That's perfect. What a great share. So, at parting thoughts, anything that you would like to share with the group that you'd like them to know about you or about what you're doing or about what they ought to do?
I don't think anything about me, but I'll just say, again, you guys, Lou, you've been invaluable. I wouldn't be where I am today without our chance encounter way back in the day.
I love that. Yeah.
But just continue to invest in your education. Think cooperation instead of competition. And your biggest obstacle isn't out there. It's in here. That's what's holding you back from your goals, period. And you're probably telling yourself some stories that aren't true and that are holding you back and that are creating false beliefs. Like, you can do amazing things, and you've got the right people around you, so get out there and do it.
and make it happen. I have a special presentation for you. I have a special recognition for you because you've changed a lot of lives. You've helped a lot of people. And so come on in and let me present you with a certificate of accomplishment. Patrick Riddle for helping deserving families with affordable housing. Yeah, baby. Congratulations.
Freeze frame.
Yeah, baby. Thank you so much for joining us. And we have a lunch out here for you too, so you can stay, hang around, meet folks, and answer questions and all that good stuff. So thank you for coming very much. You did a great job. Thanks for tuning in to the Whole Enchilada of Real Estate Investing. I hope you're feeling ready to take your investing game to the next level. If you're serious about building wealth, you won't want to miss the Millionaire Jumpstart. It's a 3-day live event that's perfect for any level of investor. Whether you're just getting started or you're looking to scale, this can be one of the final steps of making real wealth happen. So, what are you waiting for? Enroll now at millionairejumpstart.com and get ready to make big moves in your real estate journey. I'm Lou Brown. Until next time, keep hustling, and remember, it's not about how much you make, it's about how smart you play the game.